All right. Good morning and welcome to Miss Walker's Story Time. Today I have three special books for you all. We're going to start with The Boy Who Wouldn't Swim. All right. Let's get back to the cover of our book. Well, what did it do? Hold on. There's an easy way to do it. Ha! There we go. The Boy Who Wouldn't Swim by Deb Lucky. So it looks like he is at a pool. It is summertime and he is at a pool. All right, let's see if Miss Walker can see the words to read here. Oh, this one's little. It was so hot that summer that the whole town practically lived in the pool. The Wilsons, the Hulberts, the Gizazas, the Wittermeyers, the Dooleys. There were so much, you'd think. They got out of the water only to sleep. There wasn't a person in Claremont County who didn't have prune toes, except for Eric Dooley. Nothing could get Eric into the pool. When his mom came over wearing her swim cap and with an encouraging smile, he said no before she could even open her mouth. He said the same thing when one of the Wilson twins invited him to go underwater tea party, and when Mr. Gazano threw a nickel into the pool and yelled, "Finders keepers." He was so busy ignoring them, at first he didn't notice his younger sister Jessica. Getting a swimming lesson meant for him, "Put your face in the water and blow bubbles, dear," Mom said. Blah, 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 blah. Eric didn't know which was worse, being afraid to learn to swim or being jealous of Jessica learning how to swim. Mom saw him watching. "Want to join us, Eric?" "Are you kidding?" She blew spit all over the pool, he shouted. Rex, the lifeguard, pointed a warning finger at Jessica and blew the whistle. "Pool rules, no spitting," he said. A remarkably short while later, his mom said, "Look, Jessica's dog paddling. You could too, Eric." Eric closed his eyes and feigned indifference, meaning he ignored them. He kept them shut so long his eyelids tanned. When he finally opened them, it was at the end of June. Jessica was swimming right across the middle of the pool where the water was the deepest. She looked really pleased with herself, too. Under his thick coating of sunblock, Eric was green with envy. He stood up and yelled, "Shark!" Jessica panicked. She dog paddled, breaststroked, and crawled until she was on solid ground of Mr. Iguana's head. Rex, the lifeguard, had to climb down from his chair and pry her off. She took the last few strands of Mr. Iguana's hair with her. So that's this picture. See her up on top? Then his mom gave Eric a timeout. By the time it was over, Jessica had learned how to swim underwater. He couldn't believe it. All he'd learned to do was freckle. Jessica came up for a breath, and Eric yelled, "Baby pee!" Jessica screamed and scrambled to the ladder. Right behind her were Mrs. Wireman, all the Herberts, the Wilsons, Mr. Aguazo got out too, being careful to keep his distance from Jessica. The rest of the Dooleys got out as well, although they suspected it was Eric making it up, especially since all the babies were over in the baby pool. Rex had to test the water and prove it was clean while the whole town looked on, hot, sweaty, and irritated, just the way Eric had been all summer. After that, Eric had a long time out, a very long time out. When he finally got back to his lounge chair, it was mid July. He was shocked to see Jessica at the end of the diving board. Their eyes locked, and she said, "Na na 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 na," and then she jumped off. "Tsunami!" yelled Eric, but nobody paid him the least bit of attention. Eric sat in his chair on the hot concrete and steamed for most of August while Jessica jumped off the diving board again and again. Eric was so hot he thought he might melt, but the idea of plunging into a bottomless pit of icy water made him sweat even more. Finally, he couldn't stand it any longer, so when no one was looking, he snuck over to the baby pool and waded in. Instantly, he was nice and cool, at least from the ankles down. But the babies were giving him weird looks and began to cry. Then, well, Eric realized they were right. He was no baby. He got out and went to the big pool. And without thinking about it too much, he took a deep breath and climbed down the ladder and made it as far as the second run. Eventually, he let his mom pry his hands off the ladder and tow him around. It was so nice and cool in the water that sometimes, just once in a while, he forgot he was scared. The next day, he got his first swim lesson without his giraffe. Before long, he had prune toes just like everyone else. And just like that, he went from being the boy who wouldn't swim to being the boy who wouldn't get out of the pool. By the last week of August, Eric could dog paddle, breaststroke, and crawl. He had an underwater tea party with Jess and the Wilson twins, and he was thinking of giving the diving board a try. When the pool closed for the season, the Wilsons, the Huberts, the Gazanos, and the Whipmakers packed up their sunblock, damp towels and went home. And the Dooleys would have done the same, but Eric wouldn't get out of the water. Rex, the lifeguard, needed to leave for college, but he couldn't go off duty as long as there was a person in the pool. Nothing would get Eric out, not even when the weather turned. The Dooley family sat on their lounge chairs, cold and shivering and irritated, while Eric swam back and forth across the pool. He was really pleased with himself, too. And that is the end. All right, girls, let's move on to our next story. We are going to do You Think It's Easy Being the Tooth Fairy? So, the title of this book is called You Think It's Easy Being the Tooth Fairy by Sherry Bell Reinlote. You think it's easy being the Tooth Fairy? Well, it's not. It takes skill, it takes daring. Thank goodness I'm here to do the job. Let's get one thing straight, okay? I never wear pink flouncing skirts or twirling glass slippers. That's Cinderella. She does it a lot of sitting around a castle looking pretty. Boring. I'm an action kind of gal. I live for danger, for suspense. Let's get it clear on another thing, shall we? I don't rely on elves to help me out or flying reindeer to get around. That's Santa. You know, the big ho ho in red. Don't get me wrong, he's a great guy. But with all that help has made him soft. I'm tough. Check out my muscles. I got these lugging thousands of quarters around every night. And I'm smart. Take my amazing tooth finder, for example. I invented it. I bet you didn't know that baby teeth come with built in homing beacons, did you? With my trusty tooth finder, I can easily locate each tooth's ting, ting, ting when it's ready to come out. After I look into your mouth's signal, I use my spyo binoculars, patent pending, to scope out your house and plan my entry. Good thing I'm athletic, graceful, poetry in motion. I bob, I duck, I roll with the punches. Believe you me, every tooth mission brings danger, usually on four legs. Dogs want to chase me. Gerbils want to flatten me. Cats want to squish, swat, squish, squeeze, and even eat me. Pets really cut into my work schedule, but so do you. Sorry, kiddos, but I've got too many teeth on my schedule to play games with you. So you need to follow the rules. Placement of teeth. Do not clutch the tooth in a sweaty palm. Hide the tooth in a pajama pocket. Wrap a tooth in snotty tissue or a smelly sock. Do clean all the blood and spit off the tooth. Place the tooth carefully beneath the lower right-hand corner of your pillow. Sleep soundly, lie still, and make like a toothbrush. Wonderful. This tooth was right where it should be. And look how clean it is. Emily gets an A plus, and I get another great photo for my scrapbook. Ting, ting, ting. Eureka, my tooth finder's going crazy. A 7-year-old boy in Honolulu, Hawaii. A 6-year-old girl in Juneau, Alaska. 7-year-old quintuplets in San Antonio, Texas. Wow, it's going to be a long night. Whew, all done for tonight. Time for some shut-eye. But never, my dears. I'll be ready to fly the second my tooth finder starts ping, ping, ping. I've got my ears peeled for your pearly whites. Maria, Gabe, Keisha, Sammy, Emma, and Travis. The end. So, the tooth fairy has a little bit of work, doesn't she, when she goes to collect your teeth? All right, our last book for today. Well, that's not the one I wanted. Our last book for today is called The Book of Mistakes. The Book of Mistakes. This one you have to pay close attention to the pictures. So here our picture has with 2 ink blocks on it. The Book of Mistakes by Corianna Lucan. It started with one mistake. Do you see your mistake? Making the other guy even bigger was another mistake. But the glasses, they were a good idea. The elbow and the extra large neck, long neck, mistakes. But the collar ruffled with patterns of lace and stripes, that was a good idea. And the elbow patches, they were a good idea too. The bush was another good idea. Dark and leafy so that you couldn't see through it. To the frog cat cow thing, another mistake. The big space between the ground and the bottom of the girl's shoe, was a little bit of a mistake too. But the roller skates were definitely not a mistake. The second cat cow thing made a very nice rock. And the girl with the big long leg that looks like she was meant for climbing that tree. Even the ink smudges scattered across the sky look as if they could be leaves, like they always wanted to be lifted up and carried. And what about the girl? Do you see how each mistake she is becoming? Do you see now? Who could she be? Set your imagination free. The end. So, that is a wonderful book that shows us even when we make what we think is a mistake, it might turn out to be something beautiful. We just have to use our imaginations to see the possibilities, don't we? All right, guys. That brings us to the end of our story time.